Something is building in the sky right now that most people will not see coming. But your body already knows. That strange tension in your jaw when you wake up. The heat rising through your chest without reason. The dreams where you are either fighting something or running from it. These are not random sensations. They are signals. And in less than 72 hours you will understand exactly what they have been preparing you for. On May 15th, Mars at 6 degrees and 22 minutes of Leo will form an exact square to Pluto at 6 degrees and 22 minutes of Aquarius. This is not a gentle aspect. This is not a cosmic suggestion. This is a collision between the two most volatile forces in our solar system. The planet of raw aggression meeting the planet of absolute power at an angle of maximum friction. And when these two collide, something in your life either transforms completely or it breaks. Here is what nobody is telling you about this week. Mars square Pluto does not happen in isolation this time. It arrives while Pluto is stationary, preparing to turn retrograde on May 6th. When a planet stations, it does not simply slow down, it concentrates. All of its energy gathers into a single point like a magnifying glass, focusing sunlight until the paper beneath it begins to burn. Pluto has been stationary for days, and Mars is charging directly into that concentrated beam. The last time Mars squared Pluto while Pluto was stationary at this degree was over 248 years ago. That is not an exaggeration. That is orbital mechanics. Pluto takes 248 years to complete one journey through the zodiac. The geometry you are standing inside right now has not existed in any living human memory. Your great-great-great-great-grandparents were not alive the last time this configuration touched the Earth. Whatever is about to be activated has been sleeping for nearly 3 centuries, and this week, it wakes up. In the next few minutes, you will discover 3 things that will change how you move through the coming days. First, what this aspect is actually doing on an energetic and physical level, and why your nervous system has been responding before your conscious mind caught up. Second, the specific danger zones where this energy can cause real damage if you walk into them blindly. And third, the practice that transforms this volatile collision into the most powerful reset you have experienced in years. Because Mars square Pluto does not care if you are ready. It only cares if you are honest. Stay here because the clock on this window is already running. Let me ground this in what is physically happening above you. Because this is not poetry. This is geometry. Mars entered Leo on April 28th, and it has been building momentum ever since. Leo is fire. Leo is pride. Leo is the burning need to be seen, recognized, and respected. Mars in Leo does not ask for permission. It demands acknowledgement. It walks into rooms and expects them to rearrange. Now take that energy and aim it directly at Pluto. Pluto sits at 6 degrees of Aquarius. It has been there since early 2024, slowly grinding through the sign of collective systems, technology, and the structures that govern how societies organize themselves. But Pluto is not interested in surfaces. Pluto is the geological force that works beneath. It finds the fault lines. It locates the places where pressure has been building for years without release. And then it waits for something to trigger the shift. Mars is that trigger. A square aspect means 90 degrees of separation. In astrological geometry, the square is the angle of friction, resistance, and forced action. When two planets sit in square, they do not blend. They clash. They create a tension that cannot be ignored or postponed. The energy must go somewhere, and the question this week is whether that somewhere is conscious or unconscious, whether you direct the force or it directs you. The ancient Mesopotamian astrologers who built the first systematic observation of planetary cycles over 4,000 years ago understood Mars and Pluto in terms that modern language has softened. Mars was Nergal, lord of war, plague, and the destructive heat of summer. He was not worshipped because people loved destruction. He was worshipped because people understood that destruction was coming, whether they honored it or not. The difference was whether you faced Nergal with awareness or turned your back and let him strike from behind. Pluto, though not visible to the ancient eye, was felt. They called it the underworld force, the power beneath the throne, the invisible hand that toppled kings who believed their power was permanent. In Babylon, every ruler knew that there was something beneath his authority that could swallow it whole without warning. That something is what we now call Pluto. When Nergal meets the underworld at the angle of forced confrontation, the message is not subtle. Something in your life that has been held together by willpower alone is about to be tested. Some authority you have been maintaining through force rather than truth is about to face its reckoning, and the reckoning does not negotiate. Now, let me tell you what this has been doing to your body. Because the body does not wait for aspects to perfect. The body feels the approach the way an animal feels the change in atmospheric pressure before a storm. And you have been feeling it for days. The jaw. Have you noticed a tightness in your jaw, especially at night, especially when you first wake up? This is Mars in Leo activating the solar plexus and rising into the muscles that control speech and assertion. Your body is rehearsing confrontation in your sleep. It is preparing words you have not yet spoken, boundaries you have not yet drawn. The jaw holds everything you have swallowed when you should have spit it out. And right now those swallowed words are pushing back. The hands. A heat in your palms that comes without exertion. A restlessness in your fingers as though they want to grab something or push something away. Mars rules the hands, the extremities, the instruments of action. When Mars approaches a major aspect, the hands warm first. They know before you do that a moment of decision is coming. The chest. A pressure behind the sternum that is not quite anxiety and not quite anger. Something between the two. Something older than both. This is the heart recognizing that power is about to shift. Leo rules the heart. Pluto rules transformation. When they collide through Mars, the chest becomes the battleground where the old self and the new self negotiate terms. And the sleep. Fractured. Interrupted. You are waking at unusual hours, especially between 3 and 5 in the morning. Not groggy, alert, as though some part of you knows that vigilance is required even when the conscious mind wants to rest. This is not insomnia in the clinical sense. This is your nervous system calibrating to a frequency that arrives once every 2 years, and at this particular intensity once every 248 years. These symptoms are not problems to be solved. They are preparations to be honored. Your body is doing exactly what it is supposed to do when power is about to shift. The question is whether your conscious mind will catch up before the aspect perfects. Here is where I need you to pay close attention. Because Mars square Pluto opens doorways that look like opportunities but are actually traps. And the next 5 days contain specific danger zones that you must recognize before you walk into them. The first danger zone is the confrontation that feels righteous but is actually premature. Mars in Leo wants to be right. It wants to stand on principle and demand recognition, and sometimes that is exactly what the moment requires. But not every confrontation this week is strategic. Some of them are simply Mars using your nervous system to discharge energy without regard for timing. Before you send that message, before you speak those words, before you draw that line, ask yourself one question. Am I doing this because the timing is right, or because my body can no longer contain the pressure? If the answer is the second, wait 48 hours. The pressure will still be there, but your aim will be clearer. The second danger zone is the power struggle you cannot win. Pluto in Aquarius represents systemic forces, institutional power, the weight of structures that were here before you and will be here after you. Mars wants to charge these structures head-on. But not every battle is meant to be fought directly. Some walls are not broken by impact. They are dissolved by patience, by strategy, by knowing which stones to remove so the whole thing collapses under its own weight. This week will tempt you to fight something that cannot be defeated through force alone. Recognize that temptation, feel it, and then ask whether the fight is the goal or the outcome is the goal. If it is the outcome, there may be a path that does not require you to break yourself against the wall. The third danger zone is the old wound that resurfaces wearing a new face. Pluto is memory, deep memory, ancestral memory. The kind of memory that lives in your bones and surfaces without invitation. Mars square Pluto has a way of resurrecting old conflicts that you thought you had resolved. A dynamic from your childhood. A pattern from a relationship that ended years ago. A version of yourself you buried and mourned and moved past. This week, something from that grave may knock on your door. It will feel urgent. It will feel like unfinished business demanding completion. But not everything that resurfaces deserves your engagement. Some of these visitors are tests. They want to know if you have actually changed or if you are simply pretending. The way you respond to what rises determines what stays buried and what follows you forward. But here is the part that changes everything. Because Mars square Pluto is not only dangerous, It is also the single most potent aspect for deliberate transformation available to us this year. The same collision that can break you can also remake you. The difference is entirely about how you meet it. In the Vedic tradition, there is a concept called tapas. It is often translated as austerity or discipline, but the root meaning is heat, sacred heat, the kind of fire that burns away what is false and leaves only what is essential. The ancient yogis understood that transformation does not happen in comfort. It happens in the crucible. It happens when the temperature rises high enough that the impurities have nowhere to hide. Mars square Pluto is that crucible. And you do not have to wait for the fire to find you. You can step into it deliberately. You can use this energy instead of being used by it. And the practice I am about to share with you is exactly how you do that. This is a 5-day protocol designed to move with the energy of this aspect rather than against it. Each day corresponds to a specific phase of the transit, and each action is calibrated to what the sky is asking. Day 1 is May 13th, 2 days before the aspect perfects. This is the day of identification. Before you can transform something, you must name it. Today, you will answer one question honestly, and you will write the answer on paper, not on a screen. The question is this: what power have I been afraid to claim because I was taught that wanting it made me dangerous? Do not edit your answer. Do not make it safe. Mars square Pluto does not respect safe answers. It only respects truth. Whatever you write, fold the paper once and place it somewhere you will see it every morning for the next 4 days. Day 2 is May 14th. This is the day of the body. Mars lives in muscle, in movement, in the raw expenditure of physical force. Today you will move your body with intention, not casually, not as exercise, as ritual. If you have access to something you can strike, a punching bag, a pillow, even the ground beneath your hands, use it. Let the tension in your jaw, your hands, your chest move out through impact. This is not violence. This is discharge. You are giving Mars somewhere to go that is not another human being. 30 strikes, 30 breaths, and then stillness. Day 3 is May 15th, the day the aspect perfects. This is not a day for new battles. This is a day for focused attention. Wake early if you can. Before the world begins its noise, sit in silence for 7 minutes. Let whatever rises rise. You may see images. You may feel heat. You may remember something you had forgotten. Do not chase any of it. Simply witness. At the end of 7 minutes, speak one sentence aloud. I am ready to release what I have outgrown. Say it once. Mean it. Then go about your day. But move slowly. Speak carefully. Avoid unnecessary conflict. The sky is already doing the work. Your job is not to add fuel. Your job is to stay present while the fire does what fire does. Day 4 is May 16th, the day after the peak. This is when the revelations begin to settle. Something that was unclear yesterday will be obvious today. A dynamic you could not name will suddenly have a shape. A decision you have been postponing will feel ready. But do not act yet. The embers are still hot. Let them cool for one more day. Take what you wrote on day 1 and read it again. Notice how differently those words land now. Notice what has shifted in your relationship to the power you were afraid to claim. Write one sentence beneath what you wrote before. This time, begin with the words, I am willing to. Day 5 is May 17th. This is the day of integration. Take both papers, the one from day 1 and the one from day 4. Read them together. Then burn them safely. Fire to fire. Let the smoke carry what you named into the sky where Mars and Pluto can receive it. This is not magic. This is physics. You are closing a loop. You are completing a circuit that was opened 5 days ago when you first acknowledged what you were carrying. The burning is not destruction. It is release. It is telling the nervous system that the cycle is complete, that the pressure can finally leave the body, that what was stuck can finally move. Now let me show you where this lands based on your rising sign, because the square between Mars in Leo and Pluto in Aquarius activates different sectors of life depending on where these signs sit in your chart. If you are Leo rising, this transit hits your 1st house and your 7th house. The collision is between your identity and your partnerships. Something in how you show up in relationship is being challenged. The question is whether you can maintain your power without diminishing theirs, and whether they can hold their power without threatening yours. This is not about compromise. This is about mutual sovereignty. And the friction this week will show you exactly where that balance has been off. If you are Aquarius rising, the axis flips. Your 7th house of partnership and your 1st house of identity are activated. Someone in your life may be demanding more space, more recognition, more room to burn. Your task is not to shrink. Your task is to expand alongside them without losing yourself in the process. The relationship that survives this transit will be stronger than anything you have built before. If you are Taurus rising, the square lands on your 4th and 10th houses. Home versus career. Private life versus public ambition. Something is being asked of you that requires a choice between where you came from and where you are going. The answer may not be either or. The answer may be a new architecture that holds both. But first you will have to feel the full weight of the tension before the solution reveals itself. If you are Scorpio rising, the inverse applies. Your 10th house of public life and your 4th house of inner foundations are at war. Your ambitions may be threatening your sense of safety, or your need for security may be limiting your willingness to rise. This transit cracks the illusion that you can have total control over both domains. Something must give, and what gives determines what grows. If you are Aries or Sagittarius, the fire signs, this transit activates your creative and philosophical houses. The collision is between what you want to create and what you believe is possible. Leo 5th house energy wants to shine. Aquarius 9th house energy wants to question everything, including whether shining is the point. Let both voices speak. The art that emerges from this friction will carry more truth than anything you have made in years. For Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, the air signs, the square activates communication and community. Something you need to say to your group, your network, your audience, is caught in your throat. Mars wants to roar. Pluto wants to speak only what can never be taken back. The question is whether you have the precision to wield this energy without burning bridges you still need. For Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, the water signs, the emotional body is the battlefield. Old grief may surface, old rage may visit, but these are not attacks, they are completions. Something in your psychic basement has been waiting to be witnessed. This transit turns on the light. What you see in that light will not be comfortable, but it will be true. And truth, even painful truth, is the foundation of everything that comes next. There is one more layer to this that most readings will not mention, and it is perhaps the most important. Mars square Pluto is not just about you, it is about the field you exist inside. The collective, the systems, the invisible contracts that hold societies together. When these two planets collide at this intensity, the friction is not only personal, it is structural. You may notice in the days surrounding this aspect that the world outside you reflects the tension you are feeling inside. Power struggles that have been simmering will surface. Leaders who have been maintaining control through force will face challenges. Systems that appeared stable will reveal their cracks. This is not coincidence. This is resonance. The same geometry that is activating your nervous system is activating the nervous system of every institution, every collective, every hidden network of power on this planet. You are not separate from this process. You are a node inside it. And the way you metabolize this energy personally contributes to how it metabolizes collectively. This is why the 5-day practice matters. Not just for your own transformation, for the transformation of the field. Every person who meets this energy with consciousness instead of chaos reduces the total amount of unconscious discharge in the collective. Every person who channels Mars deliberately instead of letting it explode randomly adds precision to a moment that desperately needs it. You are not powerless in this. You are a tuning fork, and what you tune to, the whole room begins to hum. If something moved in you while you listened, write it in the comments. Not the safe version, not the version you think you should feel, the raw thing, the honest thing, the version that changed your breathing when you read your own words. That honesty becomes a signal. Someone scrolling through tonight needs to see it. They need to know that they are not alone in what they are feeling. They need the permission your courage provides. If there is someone in your life who has been carrying tension they cannot name, who has been waking in the night without knowing why, who has been preparing for something their conscious mind has not yet caught up to, send them this video. It may be the only map they receive before the territory shifts. Subscribe and turn on the bell. This transit does not end on May 15th. It echoes, and what comes next builds on everything you understood here. Every video takes hours of research and careful attention. Your support keeps this work alive. Mars is charging toward Pluto. The collision is already in motion, and you are standing exactly where you are supposed to be standing, at the intersection of power and transformation, with the next 5 days to decide what you will become when the pressure peaks. The universe has spoken. What comes next is in your hands.